Hi everyone, today I am going to share a really neat card made with our Colorful Seasons stamp set, and I wanted to show you, while I'm showing you, the Coordinating Seasonal Layers Thinlits dies. I think this is just a really neat set, and I thought I'd show you a few cards that I've made with the set. I love that it works with all the seasons, so here are a few that I've made, one for each season, so I thought I'd show those. But the card we are going to make today has a really cool technique with our embossing paste and one of the stamps from the set. So I'll get my embossing paste ready and a piece of white cardstock that measures 3 inches by 5.5 is what we're going to start with. And I'm just going to scoop out some of this paste and start smearing it on here. And I could tell I got some clumps from up around the top of the paste jar in here. So we're just going to go with that and see how it works. You want to try and keep your paste away from the top edge because it will dry out even up around the top edge in that jar. So I like to scrape off my palette knife and leave it up there at the top. Well, then it dries off that way. So like I said, this measures 3 by 5.5, and we are just going to cover it with the paste. And you want it to have a little bit of thickness, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Okay, so we've got that covered, and I'll scoot it down here just a little bit. Always try and clean up your tools with your embossing paste pretty quickly because that paste likes to dry on pretty well and it's a little bit tough to get off. So we are actually going to use this pretty leaf stamp on the paste. Now, I'm going to be honest, I really don't know if stamps and paste are supposed to mix. So after I do this, I just try and clean my stamp up real fast with warm soapy water and a toothbrush, and I scrub it off real well, just to make sure that none of that paste stays on my stamp. But I thought it created a really neat effect. Now when I did this before, I let this piece sit for a couple of minutes so that the paste wasn't so tacky. But for what we're doing right now, we are just going to go with it and see what happens. So you just want to stamp in there and pull it off nice and gently. And see, the reason I let it sit for a few minutes before is because if you can see that, I don't know if you can, it is a little bit tacky and it's pulling up and making it a little bit rough. But we'll just stamp this all over this piece and get those leaf imprints. Like I said, this one looks a little rough. I'll show you here in a minute the one that I waited a few minutes to do, and it definitely looks nicer than this one. Okay, so those are a little rough looking, but we have leaf prints all over this piece. So then you'll want to set that aside and let it dry for a little bit. And I'll get out the one that I did a little bit ago. And this one looks much better. Now I told you you want to have a little bit of thickness on the paste. My paste was thicker in the center and thinner over on the edges, and as you can see over here on these edges, the pattern does not show up nearly as well. So that's why you want to get a little bit of thickness to your paste so that the leaf pattern shows up well. Now what we are going to do next is get out your aqua painter and 3 colors of ink: Cajun Craze, Peekaboo Peach, and Early Espresso. And if you haven't seen this before you want to pop your ink pad open so that it's just open a little bit, but you haven't opened it yet. Squeeze it this way until you get some ink right there on the lid. And you'll pick up a little bit with your aqua painter. And we are just going to paint in some of these beautiful leaves. And I alternated some of the colors. Like I said, I used Peekaboo Peach, Early Espresso, and the Cajun Craze. And I really liked how those 3 colors came out together. was nice was that even on these outer edges where the leaf didn't stamp real well, I just filled in the pattern on my own with the color, and you couldn't really tell that the imprint hadn't been very deep in the embossing paste. So that's a little tip. Just make up your own leaf pattern when you get to those edges. So once I had the leaf filled in with color, I went back and grabbed some more and squeezed the aqua painter to drop it onto there, and my aqua painter just dropped a big drop of water. I'm going to let that go right there. What that does, that helps create more of the watercolor look with lighter color in some areas and darker in others. So now I am going to pull in my finished one with all 3 colors completed. Isn't this neat? I just think that's really neat with the texture and the watercolor look. I think this will make a beautiful fall card. So I'll bring in my other pieces. I have my card base, which I cut long way, so it's 4 1/4 by 11. I folded that. I have a Cajun Craze piece that measures 3 1/4 by 5 1/2 that I will use to mat the piece with the embossing paste. And I have scraps of white and Cajun Craze. So I am going to attach these to the card base with some fast fuse. You either need some fast fuse or tear and tape adhesive, something really strong like that, to make sure that this heavy piece is going to stay where you want it. If you've never tried fast fuse adhesive, you should. I love this stuff. It takes a little getting used to. There are some tricks to making it work the way you want it to, but once you get used to it, it is fantastic. It holds everything exactly where you put it. Okay, so now we are going to use this banner punch. I'm going to be honest right now, I don't remember what it's called. But I will have a link in my video description to my blog where you can get my materials list and find some more details. So I'm using the stamp from the Colorful Season set that says Thinking of You, but I want to make it fit inside of this banner. So I am going to lift it off of there, and when I stick it down, I want to make it curve some. Get it stuck down real well. I'll ink it on my Cajun Craze and stamp it. And hopefully that is big enough to get in here. I didn't really think about that. Yes, so I'll slide it inside of this lower punch. Punch it. Now I'm going to punch that upper one out of the Cajun Craze. So I will attach that on top of this one. Now I will put some dimensionals behind there. Attach it right down here. So I think that's a really neat fall card with this neat embossing paste technique. Like I said, be careful with your stamps using them with that paste. Make sure you clean them up quickly and get all of that paste off, because we do not want to ruin your stamps. But try that out. I think you could make some really neat cards with other stamp sets with this technique as well. Good luck!